Hey everyone, Pratima here. So the iQOO Neo 7 that I reviewed a while back was not just a good gaming phone but a solid package that excelled at a lot of things, even the cameras. So when its Pro variant, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro made its debut, I was quite eager to find out what iQOO had in store this time around. At a starting price of 35,000 rupees in India or some 33,500 rupees after bank discount, it looks quite tempting, to be honest. Especially for gamers, since this is the most affordable Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 powered phone that you can get right now. Although like most other 8 Plus Gen 1 phones I've seen lately, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is also powered by a low-binned version of this chip with slightly underclocked CPU cores. Besides a powerful processor, iQOO has also fit in a large vapor chamber cooling system here, which is as beefy as you get on the flagship iQOO 11. Then there are even a bunch of really specific gaming-centric features on the Neo 7 Pro that you'd have hard luck finding on most other phones. And with all this, I was almost 100% sure that it would effortlessly fly through all my gaming tests, but I've got to say I'm a little underwhelmed on the gaming front. That's because the iQOO Neo 7 Pro's thermals kind of struggle to keep up. Here, my unit of the iQOO Neo 7 Pro was not able to manage that level of excellent gaming experience I've practically seen every other review talk about. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still the best gaming phone in its price range, but the thermals of this phone kinda struggled to keep up. In practically every game I tested, the phone easily climbed to around 40 degrees Celsius after 15 minutes only. I won't necessarily call this overheating or anything, although when you look at it, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro gets warmer than something like the OnePlus Nord 3 or the regular iQOO Neo 7 in many cases. Whereas in Genshin Impact, the phone straight up started throttling after a while, managing roughly 48 FPS on average, thanks to a series of frequent frame drops. It was all the same with Mech Arena 2, averaging at 93 FPS. Genshin Impact, on the other hand, supports iQOO's frame interpolation feature to allow the game to run at 90 FPS, so I was kind of hoping for redemption there, but for some reason it got stuck at just 45 FPS no matter what I tried. Other than this, the Neo 7 Pro maintains a steady 60 FPS in a few games like PUBG, Asphalt 9 and Call of Duty even at the highest settings. So yeah, while there are a lot of plus points to talk about its gaming capabilities, I do hope iQOO sorts out the thermal issue with an update or two. Another thing iQOO needs to improve upon is the software side of things. You still get a ton of bloatware apps here, whereas iQOO's 2+3 years of update commitment remains among the lowest in the industry. And FontTouch OS never really has been my thing too. By the way, one thing I guess I've mentioned in a lot of my iQOO phone reviews is that FontTouch OS is unnecessarily too strict against apps running in the background. And even though the iQOO Neo 7 Pro has something called App Retainer to address this issue, I do not find it to be that effective against a bunch of my regular apps. Anyway, I like the design of this phone. It's well built and this bright orange finish I have with me looks absolute eye candy. It even has a vegan leather finish which feels quite unique in the hands. But since this is a gaming phone, it's not a cute compact device. It's quite big and wide, although its curved frames did help me with a nice grip. It also has a fairly even weight distribution but still is a little difficult for one-handed usage. I'm also fond of all the minute attention to detail here, like this distinct texture on the power button and the inclusion of an infrared remote control. For the most part, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro's display is also pretty great. You get a flat AMOLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate, 10-bit colors and everything. And if you're someone who has eye strain or headaches when using the phone at low brightness, that probably is not going to be a problem here since this guy also has 2160Hz PWM dimming. The out-of-the-box color calibration on the Neo 7 Pro is fantastic as well. It has got the right amount of saturation and a fairly accurate white balance, whereas I've had no issues with outdoor visibility on this phone either. I also found this display to be plenty smooth and responsive too, even though I suggest you to use the constant 120Hz at all times. The one thing to complain about this display are these asymmetrical bezels. Having recently reviewed the OnePlus Nord 3 and currently reviewing the upcoming Honor 90, this one feels little less premium. Similarly, I wish the in-display fingerprint reader was a bit higher so that it's more accessible. And one more thing, I've also noticed a minor issue with HDR playback here. It plays high dynamic range videos on YouTube just fine, but the contrast and black levels look a little off on the Neo 7 Pro when playing my local HDR files or the ones that are available on Netflix. Its stereo speakers are also nothing to write home about. It does not sound all too bad by itself, but bringing out the OnePlus Nord 3 into the mix once again, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro clearly falls behind in terms of loudness and details. Okay, camera is another area where things get really interesting for this phone. I compared it with the OnePlus Nord 3, which had a pretty capable primary camera. And the one thing that immediately stands out between these two is their image processing itself. While images from both the phones are noticeably punchier, I prefer iQOO's results most of the time. The reason being, iQOO's color optimization looks really pleasing to the eyes, and I got more consistent results from it in most cases too. The only thing that's a little off is how iQOO misrepresents the color red here. I mean, red looks kind of orangish here for some reason, so that's something I hope to get fixed with an update. I am quite happy about its ultra-wide-angle photos too. With the OnePlus Nord, you will generally get darker ultra-wide-angle shots with slightly messed up contrast and dynamic range, but iQOO tries to overcome all that, and the colors in ultra-wide-angle shots look better on iQOO too. The Neo 7 Pro's dominance also grows stronger when it comes to human subjects for both selfies and portrait shots. It does not maintain a perfectly natural skin tone or anything, but this slightly yellowish tint clearly complements the Nepali and Indian complexion better. Nord 3 has a pinkish output and delivers more beautified and contrasty output. iQOO has also given a 2x mode for portraits for finer subject focus, but I like the colors and details from the 1x mode better instead. iQOO tends to unnecessarily brighten up the subject's face in 2x shots, which can end up looking rather unnatural at times. As the sun goes down, things go either way for these two. I like the way Nord 3 maintains exposure and contrast better sometimes, while the Neo 7 Pro's low-light shots usually come off sharper, brighter, and noise-free. But a word of warning, don't use night mode on the Neo 7 Pro when you have the sky in the background, because for some reason it decides to paint the sky completely blue all the time. Okay, getting to videos, both of them can record up to 4K 60 FPS from the main camera. Here, the Nord 3 offers a wider field of view, but it's iQOO that happens to deliver steadier footages by cropping in on the frame. iQOO produces better colors and contrast too. It's the same thing with 4K 30 FPS and 1080p 60 FPS recordings as well, although I've generally noticed that iQOO struggles to lock exposure at times. The ultra-wide videos are capped at 1080p 30 FPS, and the output from both the devices are nothing extra, they're just average. But I will say that the Nord 3 has a wider field of view and it handles black levels and skin texture better in terms of selfie videos. Moving on, the battery life on the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is a solid B+ or even an A- in my books, as it would get me through a day just fine with around 6.5 hours of screen on time. And of course, filling it up is super quick too. With the 120-watt charger that you get inside the box, the phone can go from 0 to 100% in just about 25 minutes or so if you've turned on the fast charging option in the settings. Okay, to wrap things up now, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is another balanced mid-range phone from the company that not only has some serious gaming chops, but also impresses in a lot of other ways, including its design, display, and most importantly, the cameras too. And after using it for almost 2 weeks now, I definitely feel like this is a terrific value for money phone and possibly the best option under 35,000 rupees too. But I do wish the company looks into all the optimization issues I mentioned earlier, especially in the performance and software and the camera departments. Besides that, the only other question that remains is if this is a better buy over the OnePlus Nord 3. And I think if you prioritize things like brand value, cleaner software experience, and longer software support, then the OnePlus Nord 3 makes more sense. Otherwise, if you're someone who wants a top-of-the-line gaming experience alongside a pretty reliable camera and everything, then the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is 100% the way to go. So everybody, that was all for my full review of the iQOO Neo 7 Pro. Just a little disclaimer, this unit was sent to us by iQOO themselves, but no editorial input from them whatsoever has been incorporated in this review. Saying this, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications icon. Till then, I'm Pratima Adhikari, and I'll be back with a next video very soon.